Good evening and welcome to tonight's show match between Cerritos High School and Hazen. My name is Joshua Fekesquest. I'm joined tonight by Octavian. Hello, man. How's it going?
Going pretty well. Always nice to be casting alongside you, Fekes.
Oh, yeah. Same back at you.
Good few goes of it.
Yeah, back at you. So, yeah, this is a show match. And if anybody's unfamiliar, so there's a point system in High School Star League. And there's only 2 games set up like the old OGN or LCK as it's called now. You get 2 points, 1 point for 1 win. I think it's 3 points if you get both. If you take both games, and that way you do get an advantage for going 2-0 in a game. But this is a show match, so points are irrelevant. This is just for fun. And Cerritos, they have a pretty huge legacy behind them. They were featured by Riot last year, and actually, I believe, were the Winter Final champions last year for HSL. I'm pretty sure that's how that worked.
You know, I'm not sure. I'm new to the HSL casting team,
yeah, me
but
too.
Being a show match, these teams are both going to be quite good. And as you said, one of them was featured by Riot, so
Yes.
we've got some really high-level players in these games, and some interesting matchups to watch out for as well. Nidalee Jungle has become a bit more commonplace, but is still somewhat new, and going to be keeping my eye on that because Nidalee and Jarvan are 2 very different jungle styles, and I'm interested to see how both of them pan out.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because this was taken last week, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to pay attention to this one and really look at the stats. So I think this is on the updated patch, and that means that Jarvan's actually I don't have the sound on here. Here we go. There we go. Sorry about that on the sound. I don't think that Jarvan's the Demacian standard gives armor anymore, which doesn't really make a huge difference, but every now and then that armor does come in handy. But there's a lot of magic damage on the side of Cerritos, so even if it did give armor, if it's on the patch beforehand, I don't think it's going to matter as much considering all the magic damage.
Yeah, the time when that extra little chunk of armor actually matters the most is Jarvan. He has a lot of CC and some good gap closing, so you often see him go for a tower dive, and that loss of armor really hurts him in a dive situation, because obviously turrets do physical damage, and they're the largest damage source during an early level dive, so losing that armor actually hurts out in his ability to dive people.
And he actually also hurts his ability to jungle, because most of, actually I think all the jungle camps do physical damage, so he is a little bit weaker in that jungle, has a little bit slower of a clear time, has to go back a little bit earlier. We'll see how that all pans out for him. He's out of glowing health bar, and this is what I'm talking about. He's going to be able to get that. He actually does get the big wolf, so he is going to get that health back. It just barely survived there.
Yeah, you're very much right. The jungle mobs only do physical damage. The mid lane is a place that we should put a little bit of focus on as well. We see 2 people going very low down there. And one of... Now, as I said, I'm not incredibly familiar with these players, but the player that I have heard some things about in the past is Yahoo.com, playing the Xerath in mid lane.
Yeah.
And he's a player to keep an eye on. I've heard some very good things about him. Ooh. There's a flayback from Thresh on the bottom side of the map, as Corki's forced a Valkyrie back.
Yeah, so you won't, you do need to be careful, especially with, oh, there's a flash.
Yeah, flash in engage from Annie. The Ignite is burning on Corki, but it doesn't look like it's going to be the kill.
So that is a summoner down. Did create a lot of pressure, though.
Yeah, but that's 2 summoners traded on Annie for just... Actually, no, Exhaust was burned out from Thresh as well, so it is a double summoner trade on both sides. And it's a flash and a non-flash summoner spell, so roughly equivalent cooldowns as well burned.
Yeah, so they're still going to have to be very careful, especially with a Nidalee jungle on an immobile champion like Annie. Just chuck a spear. Yes, chuck a spear from the side. Not really much you can do, but it is a little harder to do that in the bot lane because of how the lane form. You can easily get behind minions, but it looks like she is going to go down there. DK
has a red buff as well.
Yeah.
So if she manages to get into the range with that passively increased range on Pounce, if a spear connects or something like that, then that would be the end of Annie right there. Even with a stun. Even with a stun to try and keep Nidalee off, there would just be too much burst from Corki as well. But it looks like they're playing incredibly safe, knowing that that flash is down, which does mean that Nidalee can go and apply that pressure elsewhere on the map.
Oh, yeah, got to be a little bit of BM about it and leave one of the small Reapers. So that camp is going to take a long time to respawn. But I think it'll be alright. And actually, it looks like Based, he might be going to take the Nidalee's Reaper, Crimson Reapers, I should say.
Or possibly the mid lane for a gank.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, if you look at the minimap there, he's sitting right on top of Xerath, but it looks like he managed to escape. And directed camera didn't want to show us it, so maybe there wasn't very much action.
Nah, this bot lane's really... Oh, wow, actually, hold on.
Whoa, the barrier popped. Traded for the Ignite. There's the flash away from Xerath. You can't base during that. He's not going to be able to... Oh, he blamed the health potion. The health potion kept him alive. He really should have taken that step back towards the secondary turret earlier, too. He was playing with fire there, quite literally.
Yeah, quite literally.
Nidalee, how long is Nidalee going to wait in this bush? We just saw Graves quick draw forwards, and he still didn't go for it.
Yeah, I think he's really trying to land a spear to get that pounce in there and get that XQ damage, but yeah, I think it's a little bit too little too late, or maybe waiting for a death sentence coming out from Mufasa. Looks like he may get it.
Or just the flay. Oh, but the spear goes wide between them. That is a field goal. However, the hook did land. The Chilling Smite follow-up doesn't have the ability to tower dive, and the minions tank the final spear.
That was like a story told, but from like the middle to the end and then the beginning, and then they made a different end after that because all the ability just kind of went in a bad order coming out from Cerritos. But they did pressure Hazen out of the bot lane. They may actually get this turret. They have quite a big wave here, so that will more than likely be a gold lead coming out. Actually, no, they're not going to be able to. The turret's going to pound down on those minions, and actually, yeah, no, it looks like DK Erupt is not going to be staying there.
Yeah,
So,
he's roaming back up the river. Maybe looking for some more pressure onto the Jarvan. There's the equalizer, though, flashing forward. The Lissandra ult turned around and flash traded. That's going to be the advantage rumble up in top, as DK Erupt might be in some trouble here, getting knocked up by the flag and drag combo. Turns around to toss a spear, Chilling Smite to slow him down, and it looks like he will be able to escape.
Yeah, that is the advantage of having a Chilling Smite. And you typically take a Chilling Smite on a jungler who has no CC, and Nidalee is a pretty prime example of that one. Chilling Smite coming in handy, especially when you have such a huge AoE clear anyways in the pounce. You don't really need the any of the others. Oh, actually, I'm going to go so aggressive
Beautifully placed shadow work there. Not going to be able to actually finalize the kill unless this death mark is enough. Swap back out from the tower range. The pop comes in, but another health potion was burning and kept Yahoo.com alive. Now the Rite of the Arcane comes out. One more flashed away. And Zed will be able to live another day. Still no first blood on the board.
Yeah, that was pretty close there. So yeah.
On both ends of it.
Yeah, both ends of it. They're both up in CS, or even in CS, I should say. So neither mid laner can get the advantage on one another. It's quite entertaining to watch. Yahoo.com, we talked about being a pretty good Xerath player. We don't really know too much about Halo. Actually, no. Halo 3 Matt Sniper actually is rather known. Although, I'll be quite honest, first time I've seen him play. So it is interesting to see two very good players in the mid lane just butt heads, try to get the advantage on the other, and can't do it. It's quite entertaining.
Even just that champion matchup in general is fun to watch because there's so much potential for outplay on both sides. I mean, Xerath is entirely a skill shot based champion, so obviously he has to land those, and there's some skill just involved right there. And then the position and management of both shadows and energy matters a ton for Zed.
Oh, Destin's just being quick drawed out. Would have been bad. Anyway, Cerritos is doing a great job controlling the minion wave in the bot lane. You can definitely tell they have a nice, a good bot lane they're working with. Able to control the bot lane, and not to mention DK Rupton helping out quite a bit as well. But we have a gank at the top lane here.
Ooh, the Lissandra ulti is back up. Jarvan is here as well, and there's no flash because he burned it last time going aggressive. That'll be first blood finally showing up on the board. Lissandra picking it up in top lane.
Yeah, first blood going to Hazen, but first dragon gonna go over to Cerritos more than likely here. I don't know how. I'm not really sure how the dragon walks over a trap, considering he's floating above the ground. But physics is not a factor on the Rift. As So many unexplained things going on. So that is the first dragon going over to Cerritos. They do get that little bit of power spike, which might help out in the top lane for working. Still has his teleport, so not going to be missing too much. He actually might not use it. Going to just scrap shield himself back there, save the teleport, possibly for a bot lane fight. Although they don't need to pick up dragon as they just did, so still going to be conservative about it. And Ash actually has his vanishing dragon.
An important cooldown to keep an eye on right now that just came back up, and the reason probably why you saw Corki playing so far back in the bottom lane, Yuff just got his flash back up, as well as his ignite on top of that, and Tibbers is up. So this Annie is a huge powerhouse right now, and we're going to have to see where Yuff chooses to use that, because that's going to be really important. That's a huge, huge power spike.
Yeah, and that will be a pretty big determining factor in that bot lane, especially if they can get Pranzy into the onto the Tibbers stun. But Blank X and Yuff, they're just gonna go take up the Krugs, get themselves a little bit more experience and minion count, a little bit more CS, because they are losing by 10. At least I should say Blank X is losing by 10. Yeah, you have to think that power spike for both Graves and Corki gonna be there.
Ooh, working. A lot of trouble to Glacial Path.
Yeah.
Providing that last bit of damage needed. And Vanishing will pick up the kill.
Yeah, I can't disrespect the presence that Lissandra can show on top lane. There's a reason why she's so prevalent up there right now. She can do quite a bit of damage from a very safe distance and go in and be a very aggressive champion whenever she needs to be, and that's exactly what happened. Actually, I feel like working was actually being the aggressive Rumble on that one. I don't know really sure the thought process on that one, but that is 2 kills over to Hazen, both in the top lane. One of them a solo kill too, so that just shows the power that Vanishing Dragon is at right now.
And Vanishing Dragon is going to keep stacking on that power. He's gone with a very defensive build against this Rumble. And what we just saw in that kill was the power spike the Morellonomicon gave him. And now he still has that damage coming from it, and he's chosen to go into some resistance as well with a Negatron Cloak.
Yeah, and that'll just help him just trade in general. Yeah, the Haunting Guise is on working, but it's not. I don't think it's going to be enough to really make a huge difference, especially, like you said, with the Morellonomicon on Vanishing Dragon. He's definitely going to have the advantage up there. But in the bot lane, Pranzy finally took down the turret. It was already quite low from earlier when DK Erupt was pushing with them. With that Sheen, it does. Nice stun.
Oh, interesting teleport, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, Working thought that they'd go a lot harder for that gank, and they didn't really commit to it too much, so teleport somewhat wasted, honestly.
Yeah, they are going to pressure this mid lane turret. It looks like Lissandra is coming down. That's a
Equalizer dropped in the back lines.
I don't know if it's worth dropping just to stop a backing from Zed. Because
if they get this turret, maybe.
They're not, because there's a Flash Tibbers and a Lissandra there.
Yeah. And Glacial Tomb just came back up, so that's up as well.
That was I feel like that was a wasted teleport and a wasted equalizer there. That was pretty aggressive by working, which is why he's 0-2 in the top lane. He's not playing methodically enough.
Might be throwing him on tilt a little bit. I think he was just really trying to make a play there, because the teams are still very even. Hazen is only a few hundred gold above Cerritos at this point, so if they can make a big mid-game play, which is really when they should have a power spike, I mean, once Corki finishes out this Triforce and Rumble is there for a team fight, which might not actually happen because the teleport's down now, they could have a really gigantic fight. And I think he went a little bit too hard trying to make that fight happen.
Yeah, I agree, and he's, like I said, he's doing that in the top lane, so that's what it is for the top lane. He's calm himself down a little bit, be a little bit more methodical. Blue buff going over to a Zed to get his Razor Shurikens, Living Shadow up a little bit faster, and of course Deathmark always good to have on a cooldown, a low cooldown, I should say. Oh, those electric harpoons cannot farm underneath turret, and that's pretty telling, because he has Haunting Guise and still cannot farm underneath turret. So if he even he has to go up an auto attack, which means Vanishing Dragon can easily land a Q onto working, and that's going to be really hard. But we have Based.
Really nice Arcano pulses in the mid lane, but Based is up and top, and Working's going to go down.
Yeah, I figured that was going to happen. Based is camping that bush there, and they're going to take that top lane turret and answer back for the bot lane turret. So answering back that gold, keep themselves up a little bit there. 3 kills to nothing right now. Who's on the dragon? Death sentence.
Flay gonna pull him back as well. The exhaust is on. There's Tibbers, defensively used. Actually, maybe even offensively. They're turning this around. The Ignite will give Annie the kill as DK Ruff comes out of the jungle. The hook is blocked by Tibbers.
That's the beautiful thing about Tibbers.
And it's a 1-for-1 trade.
Throw him in front of Destins. Just throw him in front of Spears.
That's actually really useful against Red. Red is incredibly reliant on those skill shots.
Yes.
Or Cerritos, rather. My apologies.
So Destins, not Death Mark, I should say. Too many instances of death here on the side of Hazen. They really, or not actually not even the side of Hazen. Just in this game, people really want other people to die in this game somehow. So Death Mark not gonna be up. They don't call it Death Tomb, but it could be if Vanishing Dragon had everyone in place for that. Oh my gosh, Yahoo.com, he's these Arcano pulses pretty regularly.
Yeah, at max range too. There's your max range. Very nice spear. Here comes
ult.
the Red of the Arcane. 1, 2 lands.
Yeah, it only takes 2.
Yahoo.com doesn't get the third.
There you go. Yeah, and he actually base had flash, so decided not to use it on that one. Probably could have survived.
Right at the edge.
Yeah.
He thought he was going to get out of it in time.
Yeah, sometimes the hitbox is a little weird based on the character sprites. So, yeah, it can be questionable sometimes. He's going to save that flash. But that also means that Cerrito can take the second dragon with really no contention. His base is pretty much the only one that could contend the dragon at this point. That would more than likely him giving his life for it.
And they're starting to get their dragon stacks rolling, which is going to be really nice for them if this game extends for any significant length of time. The team which gets the earlier dragons usually does better in the late game just because they're closer to that 5th dragon stack if the game holds even for a while.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. So far, Hazen's doing pretty well against Cerritos. May not even get to that 5th dragon. That is actually one of the things that most games don't last until the 5th dragon, but when they do, they are very contested. But you have to get to that 5th dragon to even make it matter, and Cerritos has a 0 right now, so Hazen has a... Oh, actually, this is great. Wow.
Just speaking of vanishing, that is a vanishing cat, not a dragon.
That was very well played by Vanishing Dragon.
And even with the ult already burned, he's perfectly willing to take the fight with working. Now Halo Mad Sniper takes that one down, as we have another fight in the bottom side of the map. Oh, Thresh not quite able to finish off the kill. The Molten Shield actually gave the resistances needed to survive.
Yeah, I'll say that Molten Shield's very underestimated by how much resistance it gives. I don't know if Yuff is putting points into it, but I do know that Vanishing Dragon more than likely going to die here.
Oh, second shot comes out and gets the kill. The shutdown, indeed.
Yeah, nice shutdown. 2 kills going over to Yahoo.com. That's the second one. So yeah, does get the shutdown. Has he's building for the Zed, despite the Lissandra doing very well in the top lane, and of course the Annie burst. Oh, nice shadow, nice living shadow, I should say. So yeah, Yahoo.com is building toward a Zanya's. That's mostly for the Zed.
To be fair, Graves did just finish off an Infinity Edge, and that's a pretty scary thing.
Yeah, honestly, I haven't seen too much from Graves. I feel like the bot lane of Hazen have just been shoved up so much that we haven't really got to see them, I guess I should say, unleashed. Haven't really seen what they can do. I mean, seen some action from Yuff, but haven't seen too much from Blank X. Mostly he's on the receiving end of things, and Yuff is there to try to turn it around, but that's also Mufasa's I guess goal on the side of Cerritos High School. So I feel like both ADCs actually are kind of being overshadowed by the supports.
Now might really be the time for them to come into their prime, though, because they've both just finished off pretty high power spikes. As I said, the Infinity Edge on Graves is a pretty big deal, and the Trinity Force on Corki is, if anything, even bigger of a deal.
Yeah.
Ooh, half of Thresh's health.
Oh, yeah, there's Spear landing on a Halo. Yeah, the Trinity Force, yeah, definitely a big power spike for any Corki player. And this is usually where you see them shine. Graves starts coming in about a little later once he gets a, like a Last Whisper or the Phantom Dancer. Some Graves, I have actually seen it, some Graves, they just go for raw damage to get more damage on their buckshot and the collateral damage because they have quick draw to use as an attack speed boost. So I have been seeing some Graves lately just build straight damage and actually get a Phantom Dancer as a third or even fourth item. It's quite interesting, does a lot of damage in team fights. I guess to say burst damage, and then, like I said, use a quick draw if that option is needed to try to put out more sustained damage.
And that wouldn't be a terrible option for Blank here, actually, because they do have a fairly instantaneous, bursty-focused team fight. They have Annie, Graves, Lissandra, and Jarvan to lock them all up. And then for the single target removal, they've got Halo leaping to the back lines to deal with the Corki threat, or maybe more likely, actually, the Xerath, which is probably the reason we see him going into Azonia, is because he's the major threat in their team. He has 2 kills, one of which is a shutdown. He can even up with nearly anyone over on the side of Hazen. So Halo's probably going to be targeting him out of the entirety of Cerritos.
Yeah, and you were talking about how everyone on a lot of folks on the side of Hazen are rather bursty. And that's actually really good because on Cerritos it's not really much of a tank. Rumble, he can get kind of tanky, especially with a scrap shield being leveled up, but I also have Mufasa on Thresh, but he's not really in a tanky mode right now. I think burst is actually what you want because you have champions like this.
Oh, that was so close, though. Yahoo.com, if he had been able to survive a little longer, he would have had that kill. He let in some really nice skill shots, but in the end, not much you can do against a flash Lissandra ult. Here comes Zed to the bottom lane, trying to pull off the 1v2, but he's not going to be able to do it. Franzi takes down that kill, as Lissandra is doing her best to escape from here. The exhaust is dropped, but there's nobody left to do damage to Vanishing Dragon. Since we just saw Nidalee go down, flash forward from Yuff, doesn't quite get the kill.
So aggressive on that Annie. I really like that playstyle. Almost took out Mufasa, but did not land the W to get that final little bit of extra damage. But that isn't
really see an Annie flash at the end of a fight.
Yeah, right. Yeah, usually you see it at the beginning to even initiate timbers, but didn't even need to. So that's really well played by Hazen. They did take a mid lane turret. Get them something on a little bit more on the map, and will even up the turrets, I should say, at that point. But they are still quite a bit ahead in gold, mostly due to that top lane. 4-1 and 3, a 170 CS on Vanishing Dragon, compared to a 0-5 and 1 working. It was at 129 CS, and the third dragon is up for Cerritos. First, if Hazen can pick this up, I think Hazen's in a very good position to contest, but no ultimates are up except from Vanishing Dragon.
Oh, that is Mufasa, rather, caught way out of position. Looking to get some vision near the Dragon Pit because they want to secure this. That's their one real solid advantage. They've been getting all the Dragon buffs so far. But it looks like even that is starting to slip from their control. Rumble ult drop, but Vanishing Dragon is going in. He gets bursted nearly all the way down, but it doesn't matter. Dragon is already gone, and he still has his ult up. That's a few seconds of invulnerability for him. Right at the arcane, not going to finish him off as Working gets taken down by Blank X, and Nidalee is chased back into the jungle and dies to a spear. Based finishing that off, but Vanishing Dragon, he does not have Glacial Path up. And so with a swift rocket, the triple kill will be picked up by Pranzi.
Yeah, and that's the big power spike from a Corki at this point. He does have that Trinity Force, like you pointed out, and yeah, even those rockets hurt, especially if you're low health like Vanishing, who
Sork Shoes as well helping with that.
Yeah, Sork Shoes, and that's interesting because Vanishing does have an Abyssal Scepter, which does protect against a lot of the rocket damage. I believe it's. I actually think it's mixed damage, isn't it? I think it's mixed magic and physical damage on the rocket, so a little bit did get through. But he have a Seeker's Arm Guard. I'm actually surprised that rocket did that much damage. I don't know if that was a big one or not. I wasn't quite paying attention to that, unfortunately. But being as it may, Pranzi picking up a triple kill there. That's really going to help him out.
Yeah, especially the timing on that was basically perfect because this is right when Corki needs a bunch of gold to be able to take full advantage of how powerful he is now. The thing about Corki is that he is so mixed damage of a threat, and that sort of falls off later game because you need to build penetration as the game goes on because people are going to build a bunch of resistance, especially as you can see right now on the side of Hazen. There are 2 X-Drinkers, a Locket, an Abyssal Scepter that you mentioned, and a Chalice. That is a whole bunch of resistance. And Corky has to choose between magic resistance, magic penetration and physical penetration, usually going with the last whisper.
Yeah.
That means that his magic damage sort of falls off and he doesn't compensate for that much, so right now is when he's most powerful, when he has the huge damage spike, but no one's built resistance for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right now, like you said, definitely his power spike. But we also forget that his Hextech Shrapnel, it does true damage based on how much AD he has, which does come into play. Because if you do have, you start building up about 400 AD, you're gonna do about 40. Hold on, we actually have a DK Erupt. Oh, he's a cat. He's a wily cat. He can get out of there. Can he? He's going the wrong way.
He'll at least lead them on a long chase.
Yeah, he won't waste.
Yup does have Boots mobility though, so I think he's gonna be able to cut him off around the corner.
DK Erupt might just be giving this one to the Rift.
It looked like he went through the enemy base gate there. He leapt through the wall with the Nidalee jump, but it looked like he just kind of walked through. Oh, there's the stun, and he is down for the count here. No way out of this one. Ooh, actually nearly takes down Yup in the process, but Zed caught out trying to circle around the roaming Nidalee. One more rocket from Prancy. No, there's the shield and the heal. Keep him alive. A little bit of overkill or overprotect, but still works out in the end.
Yeah, it was over life, pretty much for Halo 3 Matt's sniper. So he does get out of there. It's very good for Hazen, keeping his KDA up, and Yahoo.com's doing very well, keeping up farm, no matter what where he is on the map. So he's actually almost leading in farm. Actually, Pranzy is leading, but as I say that, top lane working. He's finally going to pick up the turret. He can say he won his lane.
You could say that, yeah.
I don't know. You probably actually.
There's a lot of things you could say. I'm not sure about the truthfulness of all of them, but the thing is that's a really rough lane for a Rumble in the first place. Lissandra is very, very good at just standing behind a wave and tossing out those huge clawing skill shots across the whole wave. That just there's no way to avoid it if you're Rumble and you're standing in the middle trying to flame spitter. And on top of that, the First Blood, which we waited so long on and took so long for the game to actually break early on, went down in top lane and gave Lissandra even more of a lead. So I can't blame him too much for falling behind as much as he did. I just wish that he had gotten more opportunities that worked out for him on the rest of the map. Better teleports or roams.
Well, yeah, I would say, yeah, it's a hard matchup for a Rumble, but you can still play relatively safe by putting a few levels in your Electric Harpoon and farming from afar, and using Scrap Shield to run away whenever you see that big claw come at you. Working didn't do any of those things. He actually went kind of aggressive, which is why he has the KDA he has right now. So I don't think he played it to his the best of his ability. I don't think it had to go that way. Definitely could have done a little bit better in lane, made a few different choices. And especially with against Lissandra, you have to time a lot of things. You have to time just whenever her claws, that claw's on a very long cooldown, so you have to time that. So whenever that's used, that means she has no escape except for flash. And you have to also kind of factor in, especially if you have equalizer. Okay, so she uses the claw. Doesn't come at you, but you can still equalize her, but she can just imprison herself and avoid most of the damage. So you have to really kind of bait all that out, especially as a Rumble, because it's all, I guess you'd say, damage over time. So whenever you have a Lissandra who can kind of stall you out, it's kind of your worst enemy. You have to time everything out properly yourself, or wait on a huge gank. But, DK Erupt, he was kind of focused on the bot lane a little bit too much.
Sorry to sort of go in a different direction here, but something interesting just happened, and it flew a bit under the radar because it was quiet. Yahoo.com, he had a needlessly large and the Seeker's Arm Guard that we saw him pick up earlier, and I thought he was going to turn that into a Zhonya's. Would have probably been the logical choice against a Zed that's 2-1-3 and just finished off a Blade, but he's gone with a Death Cap, so he's just relying on his own positional and mechanical skill to be able to avoid dying to the Zed, and wants to output as much raw damage as possible.
Which so far has worked. He's only died once, and I don't even think it was to a death mark. So I'm pretty sure. I don't disagree with that. I like the aggressive offensive build because he can back that up. It's not like working where he's like lost the lane horribly. Yahoo.com, we've seen him land these skill shots. Now he's going to make them count even more. Look at that. Base is now like just just got like a fifth of his health chunk.
Do they have vision on the Zed? They do not, and Yahoo.com is about to walk over the wall into a Blade of the Ruined King to start off. There's the Deathmark follow-up after he flashes away. The Ignite is on him, and right there.
Yeah, Zania's with a health there.
Loved Azonia's Hourglass. The rest of his team is just falling like flies, and that'll be a 3-4-0 trade in favor of Hazen.
Yeah, any of my analysis there did not, well, Francis he's getting locked up. He does take down
5-0 trade.
Yeah, none of my analysis there, you know, took into account vision, which I mean I thought Cerritos would have. I still think the Death Cap was a good pickup. I mean, yeah, obviously he could have used the Zania's Hourglass, but they could have also used vision just to avoid the whole thing and poke from afar.
That's very true.
Yeah, do what they do best and poke from afar, because I mean they have Nidalee and they have a Corki with rockets and they have a Xerath. They don't need to be up in there. They just need to poke down until the enemy leaves. That's exactly what you actually. I don't know if anybody watches. I actually think I casted this with you, but I don't know if anybody watched the CSL UBC versus, it was a Western Finals, University of British Columbia versus University of California Irvine. But it's a similar comp. University of British Columbia has a similar comp to Cerritos, except Jace was in the top lane instead of Rumble. Oh, and that's another thing, Equalizer. They could have easily threw Equalizer through there and been fine, but it's just.
I don't know about been fine.
Yeah, well, I mean,
he was forced to burn his flash a second into that fight.
No.
That's not a good situation.
I'm talking if Cerritos if Cerritos used their comp to its potential, because like I said, they shouldn't have been in that position in the first place. They should not have been that close to the enemy with a poke comp like this, a squishy poke comp that relies on landing skill shots.
Yeah, I think possibly they were just a little bit too overzealous in trying to protect that area, trying to gain control of the Dragon Pit. They've shown that twice now. Previously, they attempted to take a fight in the Dragon Pit that didn't quite work out for them, and now they were there again. They might be putting too much value on this dragon.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, that's the beauty of the comp that they have, is that they don't have to get in there and worry too much about it. But yeah, in their mind, they thought they had to, when really, they could have probably just set on the outskirts and poked. Oh, Destin's almost landing there. They could have just sat on the outskirts.
There's the lantern, there's the flash in, Vanishing Dragon with the Zonias to keep himself alive a little longer. As Yup is on a killing spree with support Annie. Based is unstoppable. And this is Hazen doing work on working.
Yeah, see, this is Hazen playing to their comp potential. They have a very in-your-face, I'm going to burst all you squishies down and kill you. And what they just did was burst all the squishies down and killed all of them, and now they're going to take the mid lane Cerritos inhibitor.
And they have so much point-and-click CC. Well, technically, Annie's Tibber is a skill shot.
Yes.
Is basically not a skill shot.
Big AoE skill shot.
And then they have Vanishing Dragon with literal point-and-click CC, and then point-and-click huge burst damage on a Zed. So, I don't know. I mean, you can say that the raw damage from the Death Cap could have really worked out for Yahoo.com, and I can see your point. It really could have, had they been able to avoid those last two fights.
Yeah, it's too
But because those last two fights happened, it is not the investment that he should have gone with.
Yeah, it's too little too late right now. DK Rupt, he's way behind as well as top lane working with only a Morello Nomicon and the Chilling Smite and the Sheen to work with, which, I mean, the Sheen's not going to come in handy at all because you're not supposed to be that close. You're supposed to be far away chucking spears. Hold on. Yeah, here. Is he going to get aggressive?
It just looks like a little bit of a support wet noodle fight.
Yeah. I was thinking, I was like, well, DK's Rupt there. Maybe he'll back up. I was like, he doesn't really have anything to worry about, DK Rupt. Ryuf has a Mikhail's Crucible and his Molten Shield. I don't think he has to worry about, and not to mention Tibbers and Ignite Up. I don't think he has to worry about DK Rupt at this point.
Yeah, and they don't really want to spend that much on Yuff. I mean, he's valuable for the Tibber stun, certainly, but they don't have a ton of resources to work with, and they have to take out either the Lissandra or the Graves to be able to win a fight.
Oh boy.
And speaking of Lissandra, Vanishing Dragon is once again taking the solo kill onto Work, and actually it hasn't gone down yet, but Pansy in the bottom side is going to be taken out for a rampage by Halo. And yeah, it looks like Working got out of that.
I don't even know how that happened. Okay, Vanishing Dragon doesn't have Ignite. I know that has
lantern.
Yeah,
Probably a lantern.
Did take the lantern.
I had to guess.
That was huge for him. It was like miraculous. So Cerritos, they do have power. And this is what they should have been doing. Okay, so they're all positioning themselves over the wall. Now the unfortunate thing at this point is that Hazen is so strong that they could just peel off a Baron and Vanishing Dragon based Halo 3 Mad Sniper. They can easily just go over the wall and kill whoever's poking at them.
And, I mean, they've got the split pushing Zed. They don't even have to make this play work. They have another play happening on the other side of the map that's also working. They got Baron, and Zed is pushing onto the inhibitor turrets. The hook lands on the Vanishing Dragon, but they're going to keep flashing forward. There was a flash for a smoke screen. They don't really need to make this fight work. They just need to make this fight.
That's that. That might be Hazen actually pushing for the win in mid lane because they have Baron and they have a mid lane inhibitor already down. Or no, they're gonna play slow. They're gonna take that top lane turret. Top lane turret first.
Yep. Play it safe. Take every advantage that you can because that is the mantra of League of Legends. If you have advantage, take more advantage until you win the game.
Oh, and I do want to point out. Current patch that standard Demacian standard is not giving armor to anybody in the presence of it.
Still is giving attack speed though, which is useful for the turret.
Oh yeah, no, that spear is still very helpful. I shouldn't say spear, just say a flag. It is a flag because he's holding the spear. I don't know where that flag comes from. I think he calls it down from the sky, which means I have to think that Demacian has an air fleet. Well, no, they do because Corki, I don't know. Actually, I don't even think he's part of Demacian. He's like a Yordle. I don't even know how that works. Well,
maybe he tosses it. Maybe he's supposed to be tossing it in the air and then it comes down on the other side. But there's no flag on the spear which he's holding. So
yeah.
I don't know, Riot. Get some continuity in your games, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, and he's wearing like 2 sets of armor.
I mean, how am I supposed to believe in this going on? In this triple-barreled shotgun-wielding man shooting a dragon? How is that supposed to be believable?
Okay, I've watched Trigun. I know they're... Oh, well, hold on.
Ooh, Corki is way out of position here. The Dark Passage gets taken! The auto attack doesn't break through the shield. And he gets away with less than 50 health.
Or Vanishing Dragon, I would just be sad. This is twice that's happened.
Rumble. I'm sorry. Alright, Zed leaping in with the death mark. He's going to be getting the kill. Halo 3 Mad Snipers on a rampage. That is an appropriate moniker for him.
Yeah.
And these Nexus turrets are melting like butter. But Rumble there, he was... When you're standing in the base gate, it actually acts sort of like a bush.
Yeah.
And you stay somewhat invisible in there, so he was trying to hide, but they were savvy to his plan. And they took him out anyways.
I thought he was just trying to blend in and be funny about it because he's like from the red and he was, I don't know.
You actually can hide in those things. They act much like bushes do with Fog of War, but team-based rather than generally based. But yeah, that's the end of the first game. Anything you wanted to say for closing, Fekis?
Cerritos needs to do better next game. I don't know.
Yes. if they plan on winning, yes.
Yeah.
That is a good point.
I guess I will give a shout out to our sponsors. There's a Twitch.tv. You're actually watching us on Twitch.tv, I hope. If not, you may want to question your ethics and morals. But they are the largest video game broadcasting and chat community. Also want to give a shout out to Newegg, where you can buy Rocket MSI products because they are the leading online retailer for computer hardware and software. But you're probably wondering, well, Fekes, what's Rocket MSI products? Well, let me tell you, Octavian, they are 2 companies that produce the highest quality. Yeah, I know, right? They are the 2 companies that produce the highest quality and high-performance, innovative gaming peripherals, and not to mention gaming actual components like motherboards, graphics cards. Anything you could really want to build a computer, they have them. Go check them out. They're fantastic products. Jinx Apparel, creating awesome video game themed clothing and other products. Loot Crate for connecting subscribers with the best new goodies for the geek and gaming market. And our last one, Tespa, a very good outlet for collegiate gaming, League of Legends gaming. My name is Joshua Fekes Quest. I'm here with Octavian. I'm going to send it over to a commercial. We'll be back with game number 2 in just a moment.